Good morning. My question today is on a scale of 1 to 10. How well do you know how to love? Do you know what it takes to love others? Do you know what it takes to be loved? I'm thinking most people probably don't know what love actually is, because we can think we're loving and it's not being received that way. And the person who's not receiving the love that you're giving may not even be aware of the fact that they don't feel loved unless those patterns continue, right? And so I've heard countless times in books pertaining to mostly teenagers, because I think that's the age of development where people have a lot of questions about themselves and where they fit in the world. And any parent who has a teenager, it's kind of hard to read your kids, because they're different than they were even sometimes the day before. Once those teenager years hit, it's like their minds are kind of bombarded with different questions and feelings and things that they didn't ever give much thought to. And so I think where I'm going with this today is more encouragement to parents. And I think I know I've talked about this before. Figuring out your own stuff can help you love others better. And so, like I said, we've got teenagers and even kids. I think it starts young, where kids start to realize maybe that they're not as liked for who they are. I think that starts fairly young. And so as parents, we have them in our home for a period of time. If you're homeschooling, you've got them in your home a lot longer. But if you're not, they're in school, they're at friends' houses, they're in sports, they're doing all these things. And so they're around people who aren't going to love them the way you will. And so all of that kind of gets deposited into a bank, and the way they feel about themselves a lot of times can be influenced by how they're treated. And so as a parent, I always think I may not have as much influence time-wise as I once did, say when they were babies. But I almost feel like the impact of your influence grows. And what that means is those tiny moments that you get each day with your kids or with your spouse, those moments, when you think about it in that realm, those moments really kind of are going to make or break how somebody that you live with is going to feel about themselves, or better yet, how they're going to feel about whether or not you love them. And so I've heard multiple times, make their morning before they're off to school the best 10 minutes of their day, and they'll probably do okay throughout the day. At least they'll go to school feeling loved, right? And it's interesting because mornings can be pretty busy. And so it takes a lot of effort then to make sure that you're loving even when you're busy. And so if you don't know how to do that, oftentimes then you're gonna have a situation where your child or your spouse isn't feeling very loved by you. And then you've got the evenings, which I know in our house, our evenings are pretty busy too. So then you've got another opportunity to either love or unlove the people in your life. And so I'm going to encourage you today just to think about those little time frames that you have with your loved ones, and then decide, or examine whether or not your words and actions are showing them the love that you have. Because we have people in our life that we love, and sometimes those people get our leftovers. And I was definitely guilty of this years ago. I've been much more mindful about it, but being out during the day, I'm a kind of a day person. I get tired at night, but so my best self is in the morning. And I smile at people, and I can ask them how they're doing, and just be very upbeat and friendly. And then my husband doesn't see that side, for instance, because he sees the side of me at the end of the day when we've exhausted ourselves and we barely have enough energy sometimes. This was years ago. Like I said, I've been more mindful, but we barely had enough energy to even mutter the words, hello, how was your day? And so you figure you get a cycle like that can do a lot of damage to a relationship, right? So just like I said, examine how your interactions with your closest loved ones, examine those interactions and adjust accordingly. And it's not big things, like when you see one of your kids walk down the stairs, be excited that they're in the room. Just celebrate. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. And it feels probably a little awkward and unnatural for those who aren't naturally inclined to be so cheerful. But it's a good habit to get into. And if you're in the habit of grumbling at people, that's a terrible habit that also needs to be addressed. So that's where my mind is today. It's also my little guy's birthday today, so I just want to give him a little shout out. Happy birthday. He's 7 today, and that happens to be his favorite number. So I'm hoping this day, that he will feel loved, because we love him, and I want to make sure that he feels loved, and I want to make sure my teenager feels loved, and my 20-year-old feels loved, and my husband feels loved. So we've got to know how to love others in order to help people around us feel loved, right? Have a great day.